This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine about 3 years ago. Her name is Nicole. She must have been around 24 years old at the time, and when she told me, I could only laugh sheepishly. I didn't believe her story. It was something out of a movie, a horror movie. I didn't believe a word she said until her story was in the news the next day. Nicole worked in a hospital not far from where I live now. She was a nurse. Since she didn't have a relationship and no children, she didn't mind working many evenings and night shifts. So it often happened that she drove home in her small Volvo during the late dark hours. This cold winter evening was no exception. It had been freezing for weeks and the roads were extremely slippery. It was December 19th, close to midnight, when Nicole left the hospital. She had worked a double shift and was tired. She got into her car, turned on the heater, and drove off the parking lot onto the road. The warmth in her car made her sleepy, so to stay awake, she turned on the radio. A local newsreader was solemnly informing that there had been a lot of salting going on and that people should drive slowly. Nicole didn't need to be told that. She had to work extra shifts because there had been so many accidents. Drivers sliding off the road, hitting trees, or worse, other cars. She had never seen so many head injuries and dislocated shoulders in 1 month. She wanted to take the ramp to the highway when she saw the officer in a roadblock with signs, "Closed off." Nicole could barely see if it was a man or a woman. The cold had the head tucked into the collar of the coat. The officer pointed to a sign with arrows behind her, a detour. Nicole sighed. Her shoulders felt heavy. She wanted to go home, to a cup of tea and a warm bed. She turned off the main road and followed the signs. She didn't know this road well. She had taken it once or twice on a sultry summer day when the heat invited a long, leisurely drive. It was a deserted road with few turnoffs, few trees, few houses. The road ran parallel to the highway but curved slightly to the west, so a little later the highway lights could no longer illuminate her. There was no lighting here. Nicole turned on her high beams and kept both hands on the steering wheel. Her gaze focused on the road that dissolved into the darkness like a lit-up triangle. She heard the snow crunching under the tires, her breath fogging up the windshield. Then she saw it. A car. In front of her, on the side of the road, in a ditch. Here we go, she thought. A skid. She slowed down. If she hit this car, the road would be blocked, and everyone would be stuck in the cold. That would be a nightmare. She drove past the car at a crawl. She saw the car lights were on, but there was no one to be seen. It was only after she passed the car that she realized that she had been holding her breath. Relieved, she looked in her rear view mirror behind her. Then she froze. On the side of the car, on the ditch side, something lay on the ground. No. Someone. Nicole stopped. She could clearly see the outline of a body, a head, long hair lay tangled on the ground, arms spread out, palms open. Whoever was lying there had probably slipped and needed immediate help, if she was alive. Nicole left the car idling and got out. She put on her hood and shuffled towards the car. The road was as slippery as a mirror. Hello? No answer. Her heart pounded between her ribs. Was she too late? She stopped for a moment to let a car pass. When it glided past her, she was almost enveloped in darkness. Only the car in front of her was bathed in a faint golden glow. She could see it well now. It was unmistakably a woman. A thin layer of snow covered her body. "Are you okay? Are you hurt?" Slowly, Nicole squatted down by the head. She brushed the hair away so her face came into view. Then she turned to stone. This was not a woman. It was a doll. Nicole didn't need to think anymore. Everything happened automatically and very, very fast. She jumped back, turned around, and ran back to the 2 taillights that were her car. A doll rattled in her head. A doll to lure people. It wasn't an echo she heard. Behind her were heavy footsteps that were getting faster, a panting breath. She was almost there. Just as she seemed to slip, she grabbed the door handle and pulled it open. Thank God the car was still running. She hit the gas, and as she closed the door, she heard a scream. A mixture of anger, pain, and frustration. She saw it clearly in her rear-view mirror now. A dark figure, it had to be a man, on his knees on the ground. Nicole's hands trembled. Her breath rattled in her chest. She decided not to drive home but to her parents, only 10 minutes from where she lived. After she'd rang the doorbell, she fell into her father's arms. Only after 15 minutes, after the adrenaline had worn off, could she tell her story. Her mother fell silent, her hand over her mouth. Her father went outside and opened the driver's door. He took his flashlight and shone it in the car. There he saw them. Next to the driver's seat, there were four bloody fingertips. Nicole's father called the police, who arrived. It was clear. Without instant medical care, this man would not fare well. The police immediately issued a report. All hospitals within a 30-mile radius were alerted and manned with officers. When that yielded nothing, the police became suspicious. The 30 miles were extended to 300 miles. In an insignificant town, in a modest hospital with only a few departments and 100 beds, a man reported to the emergency room precisely at 5:15 a.m. He looked deathly pale. His entire arm was covered in blood. He was missing 4 fingertips and was arrested. Nicole still works in the same hospital. She only works day shifts now.